Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. We are the Nazarene of Yahuwah.
And today we are here again to present another important topic, which is Mother Day.
We're looking at the pagan origins of Mother's Day. And of course, this celebration or observation or observance is not in scripture.
No.
So there are some important questions that really should be asking and seeking the responses for.
Do you know its origin?
Where did this branded day come from?
Who started it?
Why was it observed?
Do we need a special day to honor our mothers?
Why should believers not celebrate it? Very interesting questions.
Very interesting.
All right, so for teachable purposes, especially for those who are new to this channel, the names of other mighty ones will be mentioned in this presentation. As Hebrews, we do not practice to communicate using the mighty ones' names in pagan words, but for the purpose of this presentation, you will find a number of these words. The word God will be used interchangeably with the words mighty ones.
We do not own rights to the music nor images used to enhance this presentation. So let's begin. Now, Shamut, or Exodus 20, verse 12. Honor your father and mother, that your days be long in the land which Yahuwah, your Elohim, gives you.
Leviticus 18, verse 3. Do not follow the practices of the land of Egypt, where you used to live, or follow the practices of the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. You must not follow their customs.
So why should I wait until this day to recognize my mother when Yahuwah's word commands us to honor our mother with no timestamp attached?
The history of Mother's Day. There were two mother goddesses, Cybele or Cybele, and please do not come at us for the pronunciations of these different words. So Cybele or Cybele from Phrygia in ancient Anatolia, and of course ancient Anatolia is modern day Turkey, and Rhea from Greece. These two goddesses laid the most important foundation for the worship and celebration of motherhood in Europe. The Phrygian goddess Cybele has roots dated back 6,000 years to Neolithic times. Phrygians celebrated a mother goddess who they believe had her realm in the earth's mountains and caverns, natural surroundings, and wild animals.
The Cybele was described as being the universal mother, as she was believed by Grecians and Romans to have given birth to the first of the gods, wild nature, animals, and humans. By around 600 BC, worship of the Phrygian mother goddess had been adopted into much of Asia Minor and parts of Greece. Now the Greeks named her Cybele or Cybele and also called her Matar for mother. At the same time, some Greeks already worship another mother goddess, Rhea. Now the Greek mother of the gods. Now, Rhea was born from the union of Greek goddess
Gaia.
Gaia, the personification of Earth, and Uranus, the sky god.
The two mother goddesses, Cybele and Rhea, were so similar in their nature and iconography, in everything they represented, that they became closely and almost interchangeably intertwined into Greek mythology and Greek life and Greek culture. Now, when Romans came in contact with Greek culture, especially their religion, it really left a lasting impression and imprint on the way of Roman life. So it was passed from Greeks now to Roman life. Remember, the Greeks were ruling and Hellenizing, along with other aspects of the Hellenic civilization, before the Roman Empire took over. Our people, Yisrael, were impacted greatly by the Hellenistic period or the Hellenic civilization. It was in these times also we find that even the name of the Father and his Son, among other words, were Hellenized. So Yisrael was heavily influenced under Greek rule and Hellenized under Greek rule. Then as the Romans pushed in on Greek rule and took over, they adopted the pantheon of Greek gods, all their Greek gods, and they renamed them. So they changed their names. Besides the array of these mighty ones, they also acquired several of their cults. And one of the cults was
the cult of Cybele.
of Cybele.
Now, Cybele, what was the cult of Cybele? Now, the cult of Cybele, also known as Magna Mater, or Great Mother, would be part of the Rome's fabric until it was Christianized.
Cybelean cult was brought to Rome during the time of the Second Punic War, and this was about around 218 to 201 BCE. At the time, the Carthaginian general Hannibal was wreaking havoc in Italy, posing a serious threat to the city of Rome. It was said that a black meteorite representing this goddess was brought to Rome from Asia Minor in 204 BCE.
A temple honoring Cybele would be built on Palatine Hill in
191 BCE.
Now, the cult eventually achieved official recognition during the reign of Emperor Claudius. Ultimately, her appeal as an agrarian goddess would enable her to find adherents in northern Africa as well as Transylvanian Gaul.
So as a so-called goddess of agriculture, agrarian goddess, it is believed that because of the nature of Northern Africa and Transalpine Gaul, being farming geographic areas, they would have accepted this mighty one, the practice of celebrating this so-called mother of all things. So they believe that she would have been the one who gave birth to the first set of humans, the first set of wild animals, nature and all of that. So they were all about nature and who gave birth to nature. And so you have Mother Nature and Mother Earth, these terms coming out of that.
From it.
So we within the continent of Africa, or people would have been in this particular region, Negro land. And this would have, of course, meant that we were in close proximity to northern parts of Africa, where this practice of celebrating this Magna Mater, or so-called Great Mother, was influential. And so we can see how some of our people would have been exposed to and possibly even influenced by the worship and celebration of this so-called Great Mother.
Now, the Romans and the Greeks simply refer her as Magna Mater, the Great Mother. Now, the Roman festival of
Megalesia.
Megalesia was to celebrate the Magna Mater goddess. Was held from April 4 to 10 in close proximity to the vernal equinox, March 20 or 21st. The Roman festival of Ilaria, March 15 to 28, was in celebration of Cybele.
And of course, when the word great, the great mother, comes to mind, there's a particular scripture that speaks of the great mother. And this is in Kazun, or Revelation chapter 17, verse 5. And it says, on her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon, the great mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. So here we see reference in scripture of the great mother of harlots, which is, of course, Magna Mater, the term, the great mother, that was associated with this pagan mighty one, is referred to through the system of Babylon in scripture.
Now, Deuteronomy 12, verse 30 to 31. And after they have been destroyed before you, be careful not to be ensnared by inquiring about their mighty ones, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? We will do the same. You must not worship Yahuwah, your Elohim, in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things Yahuwah hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods.
Now the transition continues. So we would have seen where it came through the pagan mighty ones in Greek times, and the Romans took it over. But by the 16th century, Hilaria, which was mentioned just now, the Roman festival celebrations, became part of what was called Latter Sunday, the fourth Sunday of Lent in the Christian liturgical calendar. And this, of course, would have been the 40 days of fasting preceding so-called Easter Sunday. Early Christians in England initially used the day to honor the Virgin Mary. So we see where it is continuing from Europe, affecting parts of Africa. Now it's in England. So they used this to honor originally the Virgin Mary, mother of Christ. And of course, the church in which they were immersed, or as they would say, baptized, they dubbed as their mother church. And that term is still used today for assemblies that are seen as the head office or the head of different branches. They still refer to them as the mother church. In the 17th century, a clerical decree in England broadened the celebration from one focused on the church and the Virgin Mary to include real mothers, referring to the occasion as Mothering Day or Mothering Sunday. So they now included real mothers and dubbed it in England Mothering Day or Mothering Sunday. And this was celebrated on the fourth Sunday of their particular Lent celebration or observations. By the 1920s and 30s, the centuries-old tradition of Mothering Sunday had started to fade in the UK. But then came World War II.
During those days, dark and trying days, North American soldiers, lonely and missing their girlfriends, wives, and mom, revived interest in Modern Sunday by celebrating their own version of this day, Mother's Day. Reminded by visiting soldiers of just how special this day still was, UK families once again began celebrating Modern Sunday with enthusiasm. Mother's Sunday tradition over time became a holiday.
So they revived this thing after it was fading out, because of the war. They decided, okay, let's resurrect this observation or observance of this so-called Mother Sunday or Mothering Sunday. Yep, what he's doing. So let's look at this lady, Julia Ward Howe, and how she was influential in this practice moving from England to America. So in America, the first Mother's Day was brought about by a woman called Julia Ward Howe and her Mother's Day Proclamation of 1870. Despite having penned the battle hymn of the Republic 12 years earlier, Howe had become so distraught by the death and carnage of the Civil War that she called on mothers to come together and protest what she saw was the futility of their sons killing the sons of other mothers.
At one point, Howe even proposed converting July 4th into Mother's Day in order to dedicate the nation's anniversary to peace. Eventually, however, June 2nd was designated for the celebration. In 1873, women's group in 18 North American cities observed this new Mother's holiday.
Howe initially funded the celebrations, but eventually most of these celebrations died out once she stopped footing the bill. And we can see how this whole thing of footing the bill, Mother's Day celebrations tend to cost a lot of money because it becomes all about purchasing gifts and having parties and spending
on this big day.
And it's not, it has become commercialized, and so honoring our mother now becomes a commercial thing rather than something that Yahuwah commands or instructs. So the city of Boston, however, would continue celebrating Howe's holiday for 10 more years. And despite the decided failure of her holiday, Howe had nevertheless planted a seed that would blossom into what we know today as Mother's Day. A West Virginia women's group led by someone named Anna Reeves Jarvis began to celebrate an adaptation of Howe's holiday in order to reunite families and neighbors that had been divided between the Union and Confederate sides of the Civil War. So the group held a Mother's Friendship Day. In 1873, Howe campaigned for a Mother's Peace Day to be celebrated June 2.
Yep. Taking notes.
Now we're looking at another version of Mother's Day, how it transitioned even further and was expanded. We now look at Anna Maria Jarvis, and she is of course the daughter of Anna Reeves Jarvis that we just heard of. So we're going to see how she contributed to this day.
So Anna Marie Jarvis campaigned for the creation of an official Mother's Day in remembrance of her mother and in honor of peace.
So it was in remembrance of her mother.
Yes.
And in honor of peace.
Yes.
Again, the peace coming from the whole war thing and the mothers coming together from Howe's time.
All right. So in 1861 to 1865, Anna Reeves Jarvis, that's Anna Jarvis' mother.
So that's Anne Reeves.
Anne Reeves, sorry. Jarvis, that's Anna Jarvis' mother, of West Virginia, helped start Mother's Day work clubs. Now in 1868, Jarvis organized Mother's Friendship Day. In 1908, Anna petitioned the superintendent of the church where her mother had spent over 20 years teaching Sunday school.
So we see here where she, in order to further her intention, she would have gone to the church.
Yes.
So now we see where the church is coming into this whole mix of possibly helping to spread the observance and celebration of this thing in America. So her mother would have spent over 20 years teaching Sunday school. So she, I guess, wanted to use that kind of clout or reputation to petition them to honor her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her request was honored, and on May 10, 1908, the first official Mother's Day celebration took place at Andrews Methodist Church in Grafton, West Virginia, and a church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, the West Virginia event drew a congregation of 407, and Anna Jarvis arranged for white carnation, her mother's favorite flower, to adorn the patrons. 2 carnations were given to every mother in attendance.
So here we see where the whole thing of carnations being given to mothers on this particular day came about. It was her mother's favorite flower. And so everyone was given a white one, whether it was, I guess, in their hand or on their clothing.
I know. We know that we have seen it in Corinth, where they're pinning on the flowers on the mother in different churches or even
in all sorts of places where they do it, the events, they pin these particular flowers. It was officially signed and sealed. Today, following Anna Jarvis's gesture in her mother's church, we see where white carnations are used to honor deceased mothers, and pink or red carnations are used to pay tribute to mothers who are still alive. By 1912, many states, towns, and churches had done what? Adopted Mother's Day as an annual holiday. So it was not something that was scriptural. It wasn't something that was practiced in the assembly, but the churches took on or adopted this particular practice. Yahweh tells us as a people, as his people, we should not adopt the practices of the nations around us. And remember where this thing is coming from Greek paganism and Romans, and coming over into England, and war affecting it, and then it traveled. So it became an annual holiday. And Jarvis had established the Mother's Day International Association to help promote her cause. Her persistence paid off, and so in 1914, when President Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation officially establishing the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day, and it remains the same today, where the second Sunday in May is Mother's Day. Yep. And of course,
This observation was further recognized and established in countries across the world.
So it widely spread across the world.
So it started out as a small thing way back in Greece and Romans and so on. Now it's
widespread. It's across the world now. Well, we do not have to follow the festivals of the nations around us to know and understand this, and already was a command put in place by the Most High Yahuwah. He told us not to follow the ways of the nations around us.
We do not need to wait for a special day to honor our mothers. Scripture does not instruct us to celebrate those who have passed on either.
Honor your mom the scriptural way every day. Every day.
So this ministry is not asking you to simply accept, but we do want you to think and do your research.
Yep, think and research. Don't just take what we say or take our word for it. Research. This information is out there. So we are
the Nazarene of Yahuwah.
And of course, we are thankful that you could join us again for another topic. Again, we do not celebrate or observe Mother's Day. We honor our mothers every day, as often as we can, while they're still alive. Honor them. You know, Yahuwah tells us that we should honor our father and our mother, you know, and there is no time stamp. It doesn't say it's a specific day that we have to do so. So we are thankful that you joined us for this particular topic, and we do pray that it edified someone.
All right, so hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, so as soon as we upload a video, you receive the notification.
That's right. And of course, we say Ahad Ahava. And that means one love. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Thank you so much for joining us